What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. And a very exciting time we're in right now. Metroid Prime has returned, finally. Metroid Prime Remastered has been released on the Nintendo Switch and it is a fantastic game. And it is rating extremely highly, of course. It's one of the best games ever made, so that's not surprising. And I want to say a special thank you to all of you out there who attended my debut live stream of Metroid Prime Remastered on launch day. It's gotten nearly 35,000 views. It was a full game, 100% completion, and I was completely blown away and not expecting that type of response on that live stream. So I do want to thank you all very much, and all the new subscribers that have been coming on and checking out the channel as well. I do appreciate you guys, and get set for more Metroid Prime videos and information. I got more lined up coming after this video. And this video is going to be interesting because it has been a topic of discussion going on for quite a few days now about whether or not Metroid Prime Remastered, named by Nintendo Remastered, is actually a full-blown remake of the game, or if it's still a remaster just with a lot better graphics. So before we discuss this information though, I want to make it clear that personally I think this game is fantastic and it looks fantastic. In fact, I think it's the best looking game on the Nintendo Switch by far, and maybe I'm a little biased of course because this is my favorite game of all time, but quite frankly there hasn't been a Nintendo Switch game that looks this good and runs this good at the same time in pretty much the history of this console's lifespan. And leave it to Retro Studios and the help of their other developers like Iron Galaxy getting this game to run on the Switch as well as they have. The amount of detail and effects that they're able to push out on this game for the Nintendo Switch has been amazing, and people have been so impressed by it that they have gone out of their way to call it a remake and not a remaster. Now the things get a little confusing here with people and fans, and of course when you have a large YouTube channel like some of these creators have, maybe over 1 million subs or hundreds of thousands of subscribers, when they themselves go out of their way and call a game like Metroid Prime Remastered a full-blown remake, it does tend to steer the conversation towards the game being considered a remake rather than a remaster. And whether or not you, as a fan of Metroid Prime or just a gamer in general seeing this game, consider this a remake or a remaster is totally fine, and ultimately up to you to decide what you consider this game to be. However, there are some very key things I want to point out as to why I think that this game is in fact a remaster. Probably the best remaster ever made in the history of gaming in my opinion, and why I agree with Nintendo's naming of this game being Metroid Prime Remastered and not simply Metroid Prime Remake or Metroid Prime Reboot or something like that. This, in my opinion, is definitely a remastered game, and like I said, one of the best I've ever seen. But first of all, I want to show you some differences in the graphics of Metroid Prime Remastered versus the original game, and this will be showing off the Wii version of Metroid Prime in widescreen mode. So you will see some very key differences in the detail and the textures and the lighting effects and the models and all those things. So upon first glance, when you see this, it can be very easy to say that this is a full-blown remake. Like, just look at the game, it's amazing, right? Like, and yes, you could say that this is a graphics remake to a certain degree. However, when you look at the actual map of Metroid Prime and its 3D map layout, the map is exactly the same as the original game to a T. There hasn't been any changes whatsoever to the actual map. So the actual skeleton and structure of the map is exactly the same, and that goes for while you're playing the game and while you're looking at the map. It's exactly the same. The textures though, of course, have been remade completely. The models have been touched up and even remade. Basically, the lighting has been completely redone. Everything has been redone, but it has been made to look pretty much as you would remember it, but not exactly how it actually was back in 2002 on the GameCube. When you go back and actually see how the game originally looked, it looks quite a bit different now, seeing it on a 4K display, for example. It looks very, very dated, And the extreme remastering that they did of the graphics, in fact, was needed to make it look modern by today's standards. Even though it may not seem like it while you're playing it, actually doing those comparisons do show clearly that a huge amount of things have been changed in terms of just its graphics and presentation. So the reason why a lot of people have said, oh, this is just a remake, is basically because of that, because of the graphics. And I've heard some people try to compare Metroid Prime Remastered to a game like Demon's Souls in the PlayStation 5, which many people thought was actually just a graphics remake when they first saw the game, or for those who haven't played it, they considered that game to be a graphics remake but the same game. But the interesting thing is that a game like Demon's Souls is actually a full-blown remake, and the reason why is because they changed the gameplay, they changed the item system, they changed the actual animations of all the characters, and they redone all the models, the levels, and all the detail, of course, as well. Along with that, it's the same game, but it is definitely a remake because of that. It's actually not using the same AI, for example, and same mechanics. It has all been modernized to work more like a newer type of From Software game. So getting back to Metroid Prime, for example, that's why I do consider this to be a remaster, not a remake, because the actual game itself, underneath all the graphics, is the exact same game to a T as the original. There's some very slight tweaks they made to certain things, like the mushrooms not having a very long amount of time with their poison in the smoke, for example, but overall it's pretty much the exact same game. Nothing has been changed, including the animation routines have been ported over. In actuality, this is a port of the original game running on the Nintendo Switch with a new coat of paint covering over the original game underneath. So all the AI is there, all the original music is there, it has not been re-recorded, all the original map designs are there, all the original sound effects are there, everything is there except for the graphics. So that is why, in my opinion, you cannot actually call this a remake, because just having the graphics be revamped does not qualify this to be a full-blown remake. Because of that, the actual game itself, Metroid Prime, the actual core experience is exactly the same. It's an exact port of the original game. A lot of people haven't played this original game from 2002, so is there anything wrong with it being an exact port to a T of the original game? Well, no, because the game itself is a 10 out of 10. It was mainly that the game needed to be modernized so people could enjoy it without being distracted by its very outdated graphics at this time period, because 480p graphics on the GameCube and the low resolution textures in 2002, that was amazing looking on standard definition TVs, but in 2023 things had changed quite a bit. We've entered the HD era, and an upgrade and update like this was definitely needed, especially from Retro Studios, who takes pride and joy in their creations, Metroid Prime being one of their best games of all time. So this type of upgrade, I think, was needed, while keeping in mind that you were getting the exact same game otherwise. There's no changes at all besides the graphics. So that is why, like, a game like Resident Evil 2 Remake is considered a remake, because the entire game is changed perspectives, they changed the gameplay completely, so on and so forth. If they made a game like Resident Evil 2 yet again with the exact same static camera and hand-drawn background, same gameplay, same animations, same voiceover, same music as the original PlayStation 1 game, but just redid the graphics with more HD and, you know, better textures, that would also, in my opinion, be considered a remaster, because the actual game itself, all the sound effects, all the gameplay, for example, the menu system, will all be exactly the same as that Resident Evil 2 PlayStation 1 game, just HDified, redone graphics. So that is how you can see this version of Metroid Prime on the Nintendo Switch. It is 100% the original game underneath and outwardly as well, with its music and all the AI routines and animations. Everything's exactly the same, except it has that beautiful, nice new coat of paint covering over its old skeleton that's still actually running underneath. So that's where I stand on this side of it, guys, and there's nothing wrong with it really, because this game was already a 10 out of 10, like I said, in the first place. So all this does is improve upon that original experience. It doesn't actually recreate it and change anything. So no, this is not a remake. This is Metroid Prime with better graphics, modernized for 2023, and that's a beautiful thing. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Please let me know what you think about this in the comment section, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Have a great day.